After the divorce, Mark snuck back to his ex-wife, Ashley's, place to steal the dog? Turns out he accidentally heard her innermost thoughts. My ex-husband doesn't care about me, doesn't want our dog and wants to divorce me? If he leaves, I'll hang myself at my vacation home. Right now, Derek, a lawyer, was looking at the woman sitting across from him at his office with a questioning gaze. Just now, he thought he'd heard a strange voice, but her face was an unreadable mask. So Derek tentatively prodded, I know I was primarily the one who took care of Max. After the divorce, he'll stay with me, right? Ashley replied coolly, the house, the cars, the savings, you can have it all. But not Max. Sobbing, what am I gonna do without my dog? I'll die. He doesn't love me anymore and even wants to divorce me. Why don't you love me? It's only been a week since the divorce, you have already changed your mind. What does he really like about her? Sob, 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 I don't want a divorce. Hearing this, Derek realized these were Ashley's true thoughts. The icy goddess persona she'd cultivated was shattered instantly. But who's the sob sob sob? After thinking for a moment, Derek said hesitantly, about Max. Don't Max me. He's a husky. Why are you trying to take away my dog? Why don't you want me? With that, Derek's lips twitched. Perhaps we could discuss this privately for a little longer? Hearing this, a flash of light flickered in Ashley's eyes, but she quickly composed herself and said, okay, then turned to gather her things and leave the office. Heh, he doesn't need the dog anymore? That means I have a chance to win him back. As long as he comes home with me today and doesn't divorce me, I'm willing to do anything. Let's see how that husky, Max, competes with me. So, the two of them walked out together. However, they hadn't gone far when Derek heard a cry of surprise. He saw Ashley clutching her ankle, large, tearful eyes looking at him pitifully. Oh. I've got a cramp. Her voice was a bit choked. Chuckling, Ashley is so clever. She even had to act that out? Next time, she can forget the divorce mediation. There will never be a divorce. My 8 centimeters heels hurt so much, I'm sure they'll get swollen. At home, my husband can massage my feet for me every day. My husband is such a sweetie, he wouldn't leave me there. Seeing Ashley's performance in front of him, Derek couldn't help but twitch his eye. As expected, he didn't understand Ashley at all. This brilliant lawyer. After a moment, Derek still knelt down and gently grasped her ankle, carefully examining it. It's a little red and swollen. I'll help you to the car. Oh? No, I don't want you to just help me. I want my husband to carry me. Like a princess. For some reason, hearing this, Derek couldn't help but laugh. Husband's smile is so handsome. But why is he laughing at me hurting my ankle? Oh well, let him laugh. I'm willing to twist my ankle 100 times. Heh. Finally, Derek reluctantly picked Ashley up. She nestled against his chest. Her heart was pounding, and her ears began to burn. My husband is carrying me. His chest is so safe. This masculine aura is too much, too much. This beautiful woman can't resist the temptation. When they arrived at home, Ashley walked into the bedroom as if nothing had happened. Derek watched her walk to the bedroom with a confused expression. A moment later, Ashley walked out to the living room in a white silk nightgown that flaunted her beautiful curves with black stockings that ran high on her legs, making her look very attractive. Ashley, you can do this. With this outfit you will have no problem getting him. Be quiet. So when she spoke, Derek took a deep breath and said, Ashley, let me get you the rose oil to massage your legs, so sit down and be careful. Ashley, okay. Derek did the same thing as the last time, putting his foot on his thighs and starting to massage her legs. Ashley, my dear husband is so nice, so comfortable, why don't you put me on the sofa and do it? Am I not pretty for you? Hearing that, Derek said with frustration in his heart, I hope this will work. Max and the dog started jumping and doing things, so Derek said, Max, don't interrupt. Ashley, husky. Ashley got on the floor and started playing with the dog. Even though on the surface she was being kind, in her heart she was seething. "Curse you, dog." After giving Ashley a massage for a little bit, he took out his phone and said, "Tonight is the law reunion and I have to get going." Ashley: "Okay, why does he love his friends more than me? I'm his ex-wife." Derek gave a smile and Ashley continued to eat. Derek finished early and said, "I have to go." He smiled and left. When Derek returned home from drinking with his fellow classmates, he sat on the couch and started thinking. "I'm not sure. Even though our love was one-sided, it could be possible she still loved me back." Derek went to sleep with a heavy heart. Ashley was in her car as the light turned on. She was thinking of calling her best friend and said the following: "I need you to come now." What if this doesn't work? Ashley went home and got into her pajamas and rested her head on her pillow and started crying and fell asleep. The next day, Derek got up early to study for the bar exam, but before he could even read a few lines, he heard a strange grunt-like sound. "Husband can't be like this. I still want to have babies with him." Hearing the sounds coming from the next room, Derek could only look helplessly at the wall, wondering what Ashley was up to now. At the same time, Ashley was sitting cross-legged on her chair, looking at documents about divorce cases on her tablet. In her heart, she really didn't want to get a divorce, so she could only seek experience from these cases. Very quickly, she found a bizarre case. The defendant forced the plaintiff to sleep with his older brother, and the plaintiff couldn't take it anymore, so she divorced. Seeing this, Ashley thought of herself and lamented in her heart, "Husband, don't treat me like that. My body belongs only to you." Then, she continued to read the next case. The woman unilaterally requested a divorce, suing the man for not having the ability to make the marriage work, and the marriage was not harmonious. Ashley was stunned, then pursed her red lips and recalled, "Could it be that because my husband doesn't like that the marriage won't work, so he wants to divorce me? That's right. Obviously, last night, I wore that, but he didn't react at all. Either I'm not attractive, or there's something wrong with him. But I'm clearly a very attractive person." On the other hand, Derek clearly heard Ashley's thoughts, saying nonsense and making wild guesses. Faced with these blatant slanders, Derek was so angry that he slammed his book shut. "How am I supposed to study like this?" So, he stood up to go to the kitchen to find something to eat. However, Ashley continued to read the cases. "Why can Dad not hit his wife? Dad is so hateful. But if it's my husband, then it seems okay, but would it hurt? That." Hearing this, Derek's hand, which was holding a spatula, froze. What is this? The elegant, cold wife is gone. A moment later, Derek finished cooking. Hesitating for a moment, he knocked on Ashley's door. "Dinner's ready." "Okay," a calm voice came from inside the room, but immediately followed by a joyful inner voice, "Ah. It's been so long since I've eaten with my husband. My husband's cooking is the best. La 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 la, I'm the happiest person." Hearing this, Derek looked at Max rolling around in the living room, feeling extremely complicated. During dinner, if he didn't hear the noise in his ears, Derek really wouldn't know that Ashley, who had always been a lady, had so many tricks. It's so fragrant. Why is my husband so amazing? He's handsome and good at cooking. Even wearing an apron, he's so handsome. I love it. He, I've fallen for my husband's apron. He. Hearing this, Derek almost couldn't help but laugh. Husband's smile is so handsome. Husband, I don't want to eat dinner anymore. I want to eat you. Aren't these things coming from her head? A moment later, Derek said calmly, "Let's talk after you finish eating." "Talk about what?" "I don't want to talk to my husband. Last time we talked, it was about divorce." "Boo-hoo-hoo. I don't want it. I don't want it. I'm going to work overtime at the law firm now." Thinking of this, Ashley hurriedly stood up. "There's a bit of work at the law firm, so." Seeing her stand up and try to run, Derek couldn't help but raise his voice, "You stop right there. But immediately, he realized that he was a little too excited. It was mainly because hearing the constant chatter in her head was making his head explode. As for Ashley, her bright eyes flashed with resentment. All right then. Later, I'll go to work. Husband is so fierce, daring to be fierce with me. Husband doesn't love me at all. Won't escape after all. Anyway, even if I die, I won't divorce husband. If only I had worn a prettier nightgown yesterday. Hearing this, Derek sighed inwardly, who understands me? The cold goddess has turned into a chattering brat. This difference. Finally, his voice softened. Just wait until you come back tonight to talk. I'm about to cry, and you still want to talk? After that, Ashley started to eat resentfully. Before, she didn't realize that her acting skills were so poor. The expressions were so obvious. Why didn't she notice it before? But it seems a little cute. After eating, Derek began to feed Max, who was wagging his tail and occasionally licking his hand. Seeing this, Ashley suddenly became unhappy. Damn husky. I haven't even gotten that yet. I can also be my husband's adorable puppy. Not just an adorable puppy, I can also be a vixen. Bestie gave me fox ears and a tail, I haven't even tried them on yet with the allure of a powerful woman. She took bread and milk from the fridge and gave it to him. Good morning. I have to give a lecture at the university today. Want to come with me? She greeted with a measured tone, offering a polite smile. Giggling, it will be so fun going to school with my husband today, playing the roles of teacher and student. Mark pretended not to hear anything, smiled and replied, good morning. Let's go. Anyway, listening to a successful alumni lecture about cases is pretty normal. So, the two of them left the house together and went to the underground parking lot. Ashley opened the car door and sat in the driver's seat. Honey, could you get me my flats from the trunk? Maybe because he'd heard her inner voice so much, Mark was gradually getting used to Ashley's term of endearment. He quickly went to the trunk and retrieved the flats. Just as he was about to put them on the ground, he saw Ashley's heels cast aside. She comfortably stretched her beautiful legs into the air, her soft little feet swaying back and forth. Honey? Sweetie? Come on, let me touch you. As if realizing his gaze, her expression remained cool. I think my ex-husband likes my feet. He keeps looking at them. Hearing this, Mark helplessly said, how about I drive? However, Ashley directly took the flats and changed into them herself. Sobbing, why doesn't he come? We could have some fun. In the end, Mark sighed and went around to the other side to quickly get into the car. Half an hour later, the two arrived at the university, greeted each other, and separated. After Ashley finished lecturing and went to the parking lot, she received a call from her best friend, Brittany, telling her to come to a good place with a secret to making Mark change his mind. This sentence was like a ray of light shining into Ashley's heart. However, when she wanted to ask what it was, her best friend hung up. So, Ashley went to the agreed-upon location with 3 parts doubt, 3 parts curiosity, and 4 parts anticipation. Soon, Brittany, wearing a white lab coat, arrived. However, she wasn't a doctor, but a female PhD in chemistry, a classmate of Mark's. After meeting, Brittany didn't offer any greetings, but mysteriously pulled Ashley into a large building. Very quickly, the two arrived in front of a bunch of chemical experiment equipment. Seeing this scene, Ashley was outwardly calm, but inwardly panicked. Brittany, is this okay? Didn't you say that you wore 2 sexy nightgowns and he didn't react? I personally concocted and diluted this. It used to be used on elephants for breeding. Elephants are okay, so of course your husband will be okay too. Having finished speaking, Brittany shook the test tube in her hand with a lot of scientific enthusiasm, while Ashley next to her was still a little hesitant. Seeing this, Brittany then said, well, I don't care about you then. If your husband divorces you, it's your problem. She even put on a very regretful expression. In the end, Ashley gritted her teeth. Fine, let's go. I don't want to divorce my husband. By the time Mark finished his classes and returned home, it was already 7 p.m. When he pushed open the door, he saw Ashley hugging Max and teasing it with a toy. The scene was unexpectedly harmonious. Did she just get back? Ashley saw him, her eyes lit up. Honey, you're finally home. Tonight, let me show you my new equipment. Hearing this, Mark was silent again. What tricks is she up to again? However, he seemed to be used to Ashley saying shocking things, so he nodded in response. Then, he changed his shoes and said that he was going to take a shower first. But when Ashley saw his back disappear behind the door, she rushed to the bedroom. Which outfit to wear? This one? It seems a little too frivolous. The short skirt is too revealing. How about this one? At the same time, Mark in the bathroom, his head full of shampoo, only felt a cold stream of water flowing down his back. The feeling was indescribably hot. What on earth is she thinking about all day long? A moment later, he finished showering and just returned to the bedroom when he heard a knock on the door. Although he was very hesitant, he still opened the door. Ashley, wearing a bathrobe, handed him a glass of milk. Drink this glass of milk. Hearing this, Mark looked at Ashley with a frightened expression, because he had heard another terrible voice. I wonder if the stuff Brittany gave me will work. Brittany said a little is okay. I put in 1 milliliter, so it should be okay. This sentence made Mark's mind crash. She wants me to drink elephant steroids? I'm dead, that can't be good. Mark said solemnly, Ashley, we need to talk. Hearing this, Ashley trembled, her head hung low, and her heart was like ashes. She only felt her eyes stinging and her vision began to blur. Finally, Ashley completely collapsed. I don't want to talk. After saying this, Mark felt the world suddenly become quiet. He stared at the other person for a long time, not saying anything. He wondered why he couldn't understand her. Seeming to realize his unusual expression, Ashley pulled her bathrobe tighter and finally mustered up her courage, but her voice was very soft. I just want to save our marriage that is on the verge of collapse. Derek, I don't want a divorce. Mark asked in surprise, but why do you have to save it? Because we clearly said that we would be together for the rest of our lives, but you don't remember me at all. However, Ashley didn't say these words out loud. Suddenly, Ashley's eyes turned red, and at the moment she looked up, tears streamed down her face, because you're so stupid, Mark. Hearing this, Mark was stunned. He didn't expect Ashley's reaction to be so intense. But hearing her meaning, he and she had known each other before. Right at this moment, his mind stirred with slight obscurity, and a past memory seemed to surface from the water. The small playground of the orphanage, the little girl stood beside the sandbox, silently looking at the little boy sitting in the sandbox. I said I would marry you, so I am your bride. Why can't I kiss you? The little boy rolled around, covered in sand. However, the little girl was too familiar with this scene. She gently squatted down and rubbed the little boy's head, seriously pouting her lips, because we're playing a game. However, the little boy didn't listen at all. I don't care, I don't care. You're my bride, you have to kiss me. Hearing this, the little girl's small face flushed red. Although she was still young, her temperament was already revealing itself. Compared to the little girl, the little boy was indeed the appearance of a child of that age. Humph, if you don't let me kiss you, I won't eat. The little girl said. Oh? Then you want to starve yourself to death? The little boy nodded. Yes, I want to starve myself to death so you won't have a groom. Hearing this, the little girl burst out laughing. Then, she reached out her small hand and poked the little boy's forehead. Well, I don't care about you. I'm going to eat. After saying this, the little girl stood up to leave. Seeing this, the little boy cried even louder. But he cried and crawled out of the sandbox on his own, crying and running towards the little girl. Then, he obediently put a small hand into the little girl's hand, and the other hand rubbed his eyes, looking very pitiful. Don't cry anymore, okay? The little girl gently held Derek's small hand, extremely gentle. However, the little boy didn't care, as if he was very wronged. It's so childish. In the end, the little girl was powerless and could only tilt her head and lean down, pressing her small lips against the little boy's dirt-stained cheek. Then, the little girl gently raised the little boy's face. Go eat, okay? The little boy obediently nodded. Okay, I also want. I want to play the bride and groom game with you for the rest of my life. The little girl didn't answer, just looked straight ahead, her eyes bright and shiny as if they contained all the good things in the world. However, in her heart, this promise had already been implicitly agreed to. But until one day, the little girl's birth parents found her. When she left, she promised the little boy that she would definitely come back to find him. Then, when Mark was a first-year graduate student, the two met again through a friend's introduction. But until now, he still didn't know. I'm Ashley. It was my friend, Tom, who was the roommate in college, and my friend. He praised my cousin to the sky. She was good in every way, cold, black stockings, long legs, and a talented lawyer. However, Derek didn't believe it. But on the day of the meeting, he was attracted by Ashley. It was mainly because she was too beautiful, like a star. The only drawback was that her personality was a bit cold. But thinking that outstanding people all have their own personality, he also accepted it. Then, during the second meeting, Ashley asked if she could register for marriage first, and cultivate their relationship after marriage. This sentence made Mark feel like he had been tricked into marriage. But he had nothing, still a student, what could he trick him into? So, he hesitated for only a day, and the next day, the two went to register for marriage. After waking up, Derek suddenly hugged his forehead. Ashley was exactly 6 years older than him. It can't be. Such a coincidence. Why am I a little embarrassed? Standing in place, I don't know what to do. At this time, Ashley stood at the door, still holding the glass of milk. I don't know if it was because she had been standing for too long, her leg was a little painful again. She was a little unclear, leg hurts, the heart hurts even more, I want to die. Derek also noticed her discomfort. Then, he lowered his head and looked at her ankle. It seems to be swollen again. How about I help you to the sofa? Ashley nodded resentfully. So, the two sat down on the sofa. Ashley raised her legs and pursed her red lips. Mark took out the rose oil and shook it in front of her. Do you need my help? Ashley lowered her head and didn't speak, but she put her feet in his arms. Unclear, you are a jerk. Looking at her proud appearance, Derek didn't know why, but he felt she was a little cute, especially when he heard her inner voice and her cold exterior but warm interior attitude. However, when Derek grabbed Ashley's small feet and saw that her feet, which had already been relieved, had started to swell again, he suddenly felt a little heartache. Don't wear high heels tomorrow. Oh, okay, Ashley replied softly. Then, she suddenly looked up and just happened to meet his eyes. Her face instantly turned red like a ripe apple, from her cheeks to her ears, causing her to unconsciously shrink her legs. But very quickly, he was grabbed by his hand. Don't move. In the end, Ashley could only obediently nod, not daring to move anymore, but her eyes began to dodge. I'm going to die. Why are you looking at me like that, you jerk? I can't stand it. Use this to tempt me to challenge a talented lawyer? What lawyer can resist this temptation? Hearing these words, Derek wanted to laugh, but still tried to keep his composure, applying rose oil to Ashley. But just as he was trying to control the expression on his face, Ashley suddenly brought the glass of milk to his face. That. Do you want to drink it? Hee, come on, drink it quickly, I want to go on maternity leave. As soon as these words came out, Derek was so scared that the corners of his mouth twitched non-stop. Then, he quickly said that he didn't like drinking it. Seeing this, Ashley became anxious. How am I going to go on maternity leave? Then, she quickly said, drinking milk helps you sleep better. Seeing that the other party refused to give up, Derek let go of Ashley's feet and prepared to stand up and leave. However, immediately afterwards, he was quickly grabbed by a small, white hand on his arm, and the force was quite strong. He turned his head and saw Ashley pursing her lips, her bright peach blossom eyes, which were a little downcast at this time, were a little pitiful. "Drink it, honey. This is very good." The girl's voice was missing the usual coldness, and had a few more points of coquettishness. Hearing this, Derek coughed embarrassedly twice and hurriedly turned his gaze. But Ashley directly brought the glass of milk to his face. "Honey, I'll feed you, okay?" I don't know why, but this situation reminded Derek of the scene of feeding Wu Dalong medicine. He was so scared that he hurriedly avoided. No need, no need. I don't drink it." "Didn't you want to drink milk just now?" Ashley pursed her lips, her face showing obvious grievance. "You're a bad guy, honey. You must drink it today." In the end, Derek said helplessly, "Do you really want to know why?" Ashley suddenly stumbled. Derek didn't pay attention to her reaction, and directly reached out and touched Ashley's waist. "I touched your waist." So sudden. At this time, Ashley's face, which had already been red, suddenly turned red from her neck up. But just as she was immersed in her illusion, Derek gently rummaged through her bathrobe pocket, took out a vial with a faint smell, and then said nothing, just held the vial, looking at her calmly, waiting for her explanation. However, when she saw the vial, her face turned even redder, as red as a cooked shrimp. Then, she left a sentence, "Good night, Baka." Then hurriedly, awkwardly, ran back to the bedroom. I want to die." Hearing her roar, Derek couldn't help but smile. As for Ashley, after returning to the room, she was rolling around on the bed at this time, feeling hot all over. I'm so embarrassed, I don't want to live anymore." The aphrodisiac failed, not to mention being discovered. Thinking of this, Ashley buried her head deeply in the pillow, her expression depressed. The next morning, Derek yawned and walked out of the bedroom, his face with 2 dark circles under his eyes, like a panda. This must be due to his classmate from next door, who made him listen to her inner monologue all night. Half an hour later, Derek had just finished making breakfast when he saw Ashley come out. Today, she was wearing frameless glasses. You could see the dark circles under her eyes, and even the cream couldn't cover them up. Seeing this, Derek suddenly felt a little distressed. Then, he sincerely said, "Let's eat breakfast together." However, Ashley's eyes dodged him. Too ashamed. "Honey, please don't settle accounts with me later. If so, I'll commit suicide on the spot." Then, she quickly took a pair of shoes from the shoe cabinet and said, "I don't have time to eat breakfast, I have to go to work. Goodbye." "Oh, okay. Pay attention to safety." Ashley nodded lightly, then turned around and walked straight away. Seeing her back disappear, Derek didn't know why, but he thought she was a little cute. At school, Derek patted Tom, who was sitting at the back of the table. "What on earth did you say to your sister?" Tom turned his head, his expression confused. Derek smiled faintly. "Since when did you like the cold goddess with black stockings, a talented lawyer?" "You said it before. White skin, beautiful, cold goddess, long-legged beauty who likes to wear silk stockings." "I only said the original words to my sister. I was obviously joking." "You also said that you like big-breasted, long-legged sister doctors, preferably the type of Chris as well." "Well, should I tell your wife your ideal type?" Having finished speaking, Derek took out his phone from his pocket. Seeing this, Tom hurriedly grabbed his hand. Don't, my friend. I was wrong. At that time, it was just a slip of the tongue. I'm sorry. Call me your godfather, and this matter will be over." In the end, Tom had to admit defeat and call him his godfather. But he quickly seemed to think of something. "If I call you my godfather, then what should my sister call you?" "Dad." As soon as he said it, Derek realized his mistake. Then, he and Tom looked at each other and laughed, decisively giving their good brother the middle finger. Tom curled his lips. "It's obvious that you're taking advantage. It was already 6 p.m., and Derek had finished school and returned home, but the house was empty. Ashley had obviously not returned yet. He took out his phone from his pocket, flipped through the simple chat interface with Ashley, and sent, "Come home for dinner?" The message was answered very quickly. "No, I still have to work overtime." In the end, Derek had to put down his phone and think about what to eat tonight. On the other side, Ashley silently closed the office door and gently cut open a secret package with a knife. Then, she was a little embarrassed to take out something and put it on her neck. Unclear, what the hell did you introduce? Waiting until Ashley returned home, seeing that the lights in his room were turned off, she hugged the box and tiptoed back to her room. Then, she opened the box and took out a prop, took a picture, and sent it to best friend's name. "What is this weird thing?" Best friend's name replied with a malicious smiling sticker, he. "That's a prop to speed up my attack. But it's too embarrassing." Having finished sending this message, Ashley buried her face in the bed in shame, her bright eyes staring blankly at. After a moment of silence, a message arrived on her phone: "Rest assured, this time the equipment is definitely flawless." As soon as Ashley saw the message, she rolled around on the bed in embarrassment. "I don't understand what you're talking about." A moment later, another message arrived: "Rest assured, this time the equipment is definitely flawless." Ashley's almond-shaped eyes lit up. "Flawless, huh?" Then, she looked at the equipment and happily imagined some scenarios. The next morning was the weekend. Ashley woke up early as usual and was just about to handle some work when there was a knock on her door. "It's the cleaning lady. I've already cleaned everywhere else, only your room is left." Hearing this, Ashley replied coolly, "Okay." Then, she opened the door and took her laptop out to the living room to work. Derek was sitting on the sofa, quietly reading a book, but at that moment, he was interrupted by a voice. "Ma'am, I've already taken out the dog collar for you. This isn't good to keep in the bedroom." "Oh, okay." Ashley replied without looking up, but quickly tensed up. "Oh no. What dog collar? Don't take it out." Ashley panicked and hurriedly stood up, wanting to stop her, but unexpectedly, the cleaning lady was as quick as lightning and casually threw the leash into Max's dog bed before returning to the room to continue cleaning. Max looked at the too big leash in her nest with confusion on her face. She was a small dog, and this leash was too big. Looking at this scene, Derek froze, and the corners of his eyes twitched non-stop. "What is that thing? The size is obviously not right." As if realizing his strangeness, Ashley froze in place, her face flushing red, her mind blank. I want to die. I can't live anymore. This is so embarrassing." At this time, Derek didn't know what Ashley's inner voice meant. Fortunately, she continued on her own, "This thing is obviously only used when I and my husband are doing that kind of thing. Why did the cleaning lady take it out? Deduct her salary." Hearing this, Derek stood up and walked to the dog bed, picked it up, and carefully observed it. He immediately understood. Although he didn't understand his wife's hobby, he mainly respected her. However, immediately afterwards, Ashley hurriedly ran over and snatched it from his hand. "Honey, you're so charming." Seeming a little flustered, she stuttered to explain, "This dog collar. I must have bought the wrong size." "Honey, don't look at me like that. I'm really going to die of embarrassment." Derek had no choice but to awkwardly look away. Seeing this, Ashley's inner voice gradually became unrestrained. "I want to wear that, kneel down, and call you master. Just thinking about it makes me My Ashley is so cute. If I were him, I would definitely." Those thoughts popped into Derek's head, and all of a sudden he could visualize her kneeling on the floor with her snow-white neck showing and a collar that he had just bought on her. Soft curves came to mind and gentle smiles, and even him. When that image went away, he got out of his fantasy and Ashley ran away. "It's not right. I'll take it back and return it later," Ashley said with a red face, clutching the collar and hurriedly running back to the room, carefully storing it away. At dinner time, Derek cooked dinner and knocked on Ashley's door. Dinner's ready. Oh, okay. A calm voice quickly came from inside the room. It's okay, it's okay. I'll get used to being embarrassed. I still have to eat dinner with my husband. Hearing the two contrasting voices, Derek couldn't help but smile. Then, he turned around and went to the dining room. Ashley then came out of the room, but her eyes were a little evasive. Unclear. The two of them had a seemingly quiet dinner, but in reality, Derek felt like he was listening to a monologue, but it must be said that she was quite cute like this. It was clear that she had a lot of words she wanted to say in her heart, but she pretended to be dignified and elegant. After eating, Derek grabbed Max, intending to give her a bath, but Max resisted desperately, squirming and barking, but Derek completely ignored her reaction and directly used force. However, this scene fell into Ashley's eyes, and she suddenly became jealous. Why doesn't my husband bathe me? I also want my husband to bathe me. I definitely won't bite, I'm very obedient. Hearing this, Derek's hand holding Max trembled, and the corners of his mouth twitched non-stop. The next morning, Derek had just woken up and walked out of the bedroom when he felt that something was wrong. Usually at this time, Max would happily rush over and use eyes full of enthusiasm to signal him to rub her head, but today, she was listlessly lying in her dog bed, occasionally sneezing and only making a few whimpering noises, and her tail didn't wag much. Seeing this scene, Derek was worried and hurriedly picked her up. Then, he gently knocked on Ashley's door. Max is sick. It seems like she caught a cold. Maybe because she didn't dry her fur after her bath yesterday. Can you drive us to the vet? So the two of them went together in her car. On the way, Derek kept comforting Max, who was shivering. We are getting there and you're going to be okay, and at that moment Ashley felt like an outsider as she looked on. Moi kung muon duok chong om nu vei, Ashley said to her as she looked with jealous eyes at the tiny dog. And in her head she was doing the same thing. Ashley then spoke up and said to him, "Do you want me to take it?" Ashley, "No, at the vet's." The vet gave Max medicine that would make her sleep. Derek then bought his favorite food to help her eat. Ashley made another comment, "Why is he more affectionate with a pet?" The nerve. I'm jealous. With a sigh, Derek gave the dog the medicine with all the love. After Max fell asleep, Derek, "It really is your own fault and you really are a handful." They returned to their home where Ashley had made soup and even had special food but was waiting and saying she didn't do it for anyone. I hate the feeling. Ashley got closer and whispered and said, "Husband." Derek looked up and Ashley put all the soup on her face. Derek now looked at her as she laughed at him. Derek, you really have lost your mind. Ashley, do you love me? Derek replied, "No, Ashley, I do not." Having said that, Ashley grabbed the bowl, tilted her head back, and drank it all in one gulp. Sighing, she said, "So good, so good." Her eyes were shining brightly, completely opposite of her usual cool image. Derek smiled indulgently. "Just take the medicine again later, and you'll be fine. It's not good to take too much medicine." Ashley nodded obediently, appearing very cooperative, but her inner voice was, "As long as my husband feeds it to me, I can swallow anything, even if the medicine my husband gives me turns me into an idiot, I'll still drink it." The next morning, Ashley drove Derek to the university. As they were saying goodbye, she said reluctantly, "I'll try not to work overtime today. Can you wait for me to have dinner together?" Derek smiled and nodded. Giggling, "From now on, I'll be having sweet dinners with my husband every day. I'll feed him a bite, and he'll feed me a bite. A kiss, and our relationship will take another step forward. Goodbye." Thinking for a moment, she was still a little embarrassed to say it out loud, so she could only say in her heart, "Goodbye, husband." After saying that, Ashley started the car, leaving only the taillights behind. Looking at Ashley's cute appearance, Derek couldn't help but smile. Then, he looked at his watch and walked into the university's examination hall. Today was the day of his law school graduation exam. Waiting until he got home in the evening, Ashley had already cooked 3 meat dishes and 1 soup, waiting for him on the dining table. Derek sat down, tasted a bite, and exclaimed in surprise, this is the first time I've eaten something you cooked. I didn't expect your cooking skills to be so good. Hee hee, I got praised. I just learned by following the app's instructions. It's pretty simple, Ashley said with a radiant smile. Seeing this, Derek outwardly responded with a faint smile, but in his heart, he felt both bitter and sweet. It was hard to imagine that Ashley, who was always elegant with slender fingers, could endure the smoke and grease in the kitchen to learn to cook. As if hearing the thoughts in his heart, Ashley blinked her eyes. Hee, it's normal. Today, after you finish the exam, do you want to have a celebration drink together? Derek teased, won't you put something in it for me to drink again? How could I? Ashley immediately retorted, but her face couldn't help but turn red, looking mischievous. Facing Ashley's puppy dog eyes, Derek went to the wine cabinet and chose a bottle. She exclaimed in a voice and ran into the kitchen to get glasses. Afterwards, Ashley even cut a few more rose stems and put them in a vase, placing it on the dining table. Derek silently looked at the clock. A dozen minutes later, the two of them raised their glasses and gently touched them together. Perhaps because she had drunk, Ashley was definitely talking more than usual today. Let me tell you, today, I had a client who started fighting with someone as soon as they entered the mediation room. I couldn't stop them, I was scared to death. In the end, security had to come. Looking at Ashley excitedly telling the story, her hands were constantly gesturing. Derek smiled and listened attentively. Afterwards, he thought for a moment and asked, then were you hurt? No, I'm very nimble. As soon as they started fighting, I dodged to the side. The male lawyer next to me, who was trying to mediate, got slapped by mistake. His face was still swollen all afternoon. Ashley puffed out her chest, looking a little proud. Derek laughed and looked at her. Right at this time, Ashley gently shook her wine glass and looked at him with expectant eyes. Do you want to come to my law firm to see it? This unexpected question stunned Derek. Seeing his expression, Ashley hurriedly added, it's just a visit. After hesitating for a moment, Derek nodded. Yay, the first step of the plan is successful. It's only a matter of time before I can have a sweet workday with my husband. Ashley secretly replied in her heart. All right, so that's how you want to play, is it? So the next day, Derek followed Ashley to her workplace. Perhaps because she was in a familiar work environment, she exuded confidence and ease, with the aura of a powerful woman invisible. Hee, my law firm isn't bad, right? Do you want to come to my law firm to work? We can be together every day. As Derek said that, an old woman came close and touched her arm and said, Ms. Ashley, the one you were looking for is coming right now. Ashley looked back at Derek, gave him a hug and gave him a gentle kiss. As she said that, she heard a thought, my goodness, he is going to be my husband and he looks hot to the max. I will give a hug and get him jealous and that will do it. She went on with a smile. She touched Derek and then turned around and gave him a wave, and then the old woman gave her a grin. Ashley gave her a death stare and went on into the office. Derek didn't know what was going on, so he got an idea and saw that people were interested in her, and he said in his mind, Ashley will get jealous. He winked at the old woman and smiled. Ashley then turned her head and said out loud, Stop it. Ashley was fuming. Her mind was saying, he will have nothing of it now. He is mine only. As she did, Derek followed and asked her to cool off, but she wouldn't have it and went on to say, you think I didn't see the old woman you winked at? Do you even love me? He said, you are making a scene, as if I even cheated. As she said that, he knew things would get intense and Ashley was not having any of it and left. And said in her mind that she would never see him again. At that moment Derek started to think, what can I do? Derek lightly smiled at Ashley when she stormed back. And Derek was thinking, should he not be an idiot? She wasn't there and Derek looked on with confusion. But she said in her head, I'm not going to be with him. Derek came from behind, gave her a hug, but Ashley pushed him off. Derek, are you even listening? She said in her head, the end is near. I don't want to be with him. Derek then was at the end of his wits. You will listen to me. Derek said in a loud voice. Derek asked her was, "What do you even want?" Her head thought to herself and said that she only wanted him and no one else. And that was the beginning of something great. "Derek, are you for real or for this, and tell me what I want?" A few minutes later Ashley looked at him with gentle eyes and was very nervous. As she came over to Derek, she put her head on his and said, "You love me. And I am yours. I was going to get away with being yours." "Derek, that's all?" "Ashley, what do you want me to say?" Derek grabbed Ashley with a strong grip and said he wanted her. And Ashley did the same. As Derek finished, he looked into her eyes to ask a question, "So what's it going to be? What is your answer?" Derek said, "We can find an answer to this question with time." Derek and Ashley left together with happiness. Ashley came running and said thank God. With what had happened with Derek and Ashley we will never know, but we know that they were happy. As she was saying inside her mind, he looks cute and he can even turn on the sexy, and she didn't regret her decisions, and they kissed again. Derek was happy inside knowing she was going to stick around for the long term. Ashley was on the way. "It won't be long now," she thought to herself. "Before you know it, you'll be here every day." They kissed and knew it was over. It was going to be a good time and they will make it work forever and know that they will never be apart. Having said that, Ashley took the bowl and tilted her head back, drinking it all in one breath. So good," she sighed, her eyes shining brightly. Seeing Ashley completely different from her usual cool image, Derek forced a smile. "You'll be fine if you take the medicine again later. It's not good to drink too much medicine." Ashley obediently nodded, seemingly very cooperative, but her inner voice was, "As long as it's what my husband feeds me, I can swallow anything, even if the medicine my husband gives me turns me into an idiot, I'll still drink it." The next morning, Ashley drove Derek to campus. As they were saying goodbye, she said longingly, "I'll try not to work overtime today. Could you wait for me to have dinner together tonight?" Derek smiled and nodded. Giggling, "From now on, I'll get to have sweet dinners with my husband every day. You feed me a bite and I feed you a bite, a kiss and another step forward. Goodbye." Thinking for a moment, she still felt a little shy saying it out loud, so she could only say in her heart, "Goodbye, husband." Saying that, Ashley started the car, leaving behind only the taillights. Looking at Ashley's cute appearance, Derek couldn't help but smile. Then, he checked his watch and went into the university's examination hall. Today was the day of his law degree graduation exam. When Derek returned home in the evening, Ashley had already cooked 3 dishes and a soup, waiting for him on the table. Derek sat down, tasted a bite, and exclaimed in surprise, "This is the first time I've eaten something you cooked. I didn't expect your cooking skills to be so good." "Hee, I'm getting praised. I learned it following app tutorials, it's pretty simple," Ashley said with a radiant smile. Seeing this, Derek gave a faint smile, but in his heart, he felt a mix of bitterness and sweetness. It was hard to imagine Ashley, who was always elegant with slender fingers, enduring the smoke and grease in the kitchen to learn cooking. As if hearing the thoughts in his heart, Ashley blinked. Hee, it's normal. Today after you take the test, do you want to have a celebratory drink together?" Derek teased, "Are you going to put something in it for me to drink again?" "How could I?" Ashley retorted immediately, but her face couldn't help but turn red, looking mischievous. Facing Ashley's puppy dog eyes, Derek went to the wine cabinet and chose a bottle. She cried out in a voice and ran into the kitchen to get glasses. Afterwards, Ashley even cut a few more rose stems and put them in a vase, placing it on the dining table. Derek silently looked at the clock. After a dozen minutes, the two of them raised their glasses and tapped them gently together. Perhaps because she'd drunk alcohol, Ashley was definitely talking more than usual. "Let me tell you, today I had a client who started fighting with someone as soon as they entered the mediation room. I couldn't stop them, it scared me to death. In the end, security had to come." As she told the story excitedly, Ashley gestured with her hands. Derek smiled and listened attentively. Afterwards, he thought for a moment and asked, "Then were you hurt?" "No, I'm very agile." As soon as they started fighting, I dodged to the side. The male lawyer next to me, who was trying to mediate, accidentally got slapped. His face was still swollen all afternoon. Ashley puffed out her chest, looking a little proud. Derek laughed and looked at her. Just then, Ashley gently shook her wine glass and looked at him with expectant eyes. "Do you want to come to my law firm to see it?" This unexpected question stunned Derek. Seeing his expression, Ashley hurriedly added, "It's just a visit." After hesitating for a moment, Derek nodded. "Yay! The first step of the plan is complete. Going to work with my sweet husband is only a matter of time." Ashley secretly replied in her heart. Derek then said in his mind, "I see, so that is how it will be, eh? A light, then I see you." So the next day, Derek followed Ashley to her workplace. Perhaps because she was in a familiar work environment, she was exuding confidence and ease, with the aura of a capable woman visibly. "Ha ha ha, is my company up to your standards, my dear husband? If it's a good fit, you could join and work with me. So, we will be a good and sweet fit." As Derek looked, the woman next to her gave him the stares and kept coming on, but in her head it would not pass with Ashley next to him. The woman then asked if it was okay for them to be alone with him to share her thoughts and concerns. Derek, knowing already, had an idea and said, "I hope Ashley gets jealous, 'cause I would love that she got jealous." Winking face with tongue. Ashley looked on as if the gates from her opened and told her and said out loud, "Don't you dare touch my man, you be, *+H. She had it, and Derek said, "You didn't need to get mad or angry." Ashley said, "That is not how it goes." Angry face, pouting face. "I can see that I'm not good enough. I can see that what I do means nothing," and she said to him, "It's over." And ran and said inside her that she would disappear. For good. Hearing that, Derek stopped and said, "Not for long." Derek ran after her. He was going to let this go and have her thinking she can give ultimatums. "I did not want any of this, but I know that she won't let it go, and this has to go with the feelings." Ashley and Derek got together and were smiling and said, "I am happy with this and know you love me." Ashley said that, "What, do you even see me anymore?" "Ashley, you got it twisted. I only see you, and you got it wrong." They embraced and said that they would never ever be apart, and all the questions that had been asked was over. Derek knew he had a gem, and all he had to do was hold on to what he had. When they returned to their home, Ashley hugged him and said, "I love you more than anything, and please don't ever do that again." The relationship between Ashley and Derek was getting better and more beautiful than it could ever be. As they got closer to home, Ashley started a rant and told him to prepare himself. As they were getting closer, a note that their parents were coming and that they had to be a certain way. Ashley was scared she could not live up to the expectations. That they wouldn't think they loved him or care for him. Hearing this, what would Derek say? Before that came out of his lips, Derek got to changing the subject and said to her, "Now I will never give you up. And what our parents will have to say will never change what we are. What you think you are now and forevermore will never change." Derek saw the tears and was starting to get scared and said to stop and relax, everything will work itself out. As Derek and Ashley got closer, it felt like this was the day they would never forget, and the people that didn't expect it were in for a ride. Derek said that he wanted to get Ashley ready and would go with her what was on her mind. At that moment, Ashley jumped and started throwing kisses. "This will be great," Ashley said and laughed. Ashley said, "I was wrong. It wasn't that I'm going to let it go, it was that you never gave up." And Derek said, "And I will always hold your hand no matter what." As the car arrived, Derek had a surprise. The gift had arrived. Ashley was blindfolded and was said to give him her trust. What was to happen would be one of those moments to remember. As Ashley took off the mask and was at her old orphanage, she could not believe it. Derek said, "I went out of my way to find a place where it had to be. And what would be remembered for it is that they had found the place that they loved, what mattered. The rest of it had to be left for what they wanted." Ashley would not believe it and wanted more. Derek got down to one knee. "Ring. And this would change everything, Ashley." Derek said, "You have given me everything, and even though what may happen, it doesn't matter. What will make us happy will always be about where we started. Will yo?